So here I am starting to fix the case rattling on my Klipsch KLF 30. Everyone who has had those speakers knows that Klipsch, for some reason, decided at one point in time to use some weird glue. It looks almost like hot glue. This shit there, right there. It's kind of real messy. Anyhow, this glue is total crap. It comes loose. So the case is gonna start rattling. I did this before. I had KLF 20s and another pair of KLF 30s. And what I simply do, I know some people, they just take the whole cabinet apart, which I really don't like doing because I'm afraid I'm gonna break something. I'm gonna get rid of this crap here as good as I can, and I will simply seal it up with West Systems marine grade epoxy. Well, that stuff is strong enough for fixing boats and dealing with saltwater environments. It'll be strong enough to hold a stupid wooden cabinet together. Well, like I said, I did this before and worked out great, and it doesn't require any much intrusion into the original cabinet. I just try to keep it as original as possible. I'm not even gonna add any more braces because that epoxy is gonna make it just very strong anyways. Alright, let's get started on this. So this is the epoxy I'll be using. It's a marine grade epoxy. It really is the best there. It's expensive, but I tell you what, people, worth every penny. Yeah, I built myself this little jig here. Keep the cabinet in a nice 45-degree angle. So that's important so I can get the epoxy evenly spread out in here. So at first I'm gonna have to get rid of some of this nasty ass glue. Okay, let's get started. Nasty. So yes, this is the first corner. All I have to do now is just let it sit for a couple hours. It should usually starts curing around about 30-40 minutes. It takes about 24 hours to completely harden, but as long as it's already stiff, I can turn the cabinet and start on another edge. it's very low viscosity, so it kind of like finds itself into every corner there is, and that's just the way I want it. So yeah, here it is. I don't know how good the camera is going to show this, but it's nice and evenly all around the edge. Right now it's still, of course, in liquid form, but the nice thing is it basically finds its way in every corner there is. Once this stuff dries, it'll be stronger than the cabinet itself. It will never come loose. If I were to try to take this cabinet apart afterwards, I would literally have to rip the wood apart. The epoxy wouldn't break. Like I said, I've done this with my previous KLF 20s and my other 30s, which I had sold and regretted immediately. And after I was done doing this, there was no more case rattling. It improved the sound quality, and yeah, I don't really want to put any braces in, because I think those 2 braces at the factory, they are enough. And I don't know, I'm very reluctant bracing the especially the front baffle, because really this is what makes the sound of the speaker. Changing this around by putting additional braces in, I don't know, maybe it has a negative effect, maybe it doesn't. I just don't want to take my chance. Okay, I think I'm gonna just stop the video here right now. I'm probably not gonna show all the other ones, because it's just gonna be the same of that, but I'm gonna continue on filming once it's all done, so I can show how it looks like, or it's supposed to look like when it's done. Let's see if I can zoom this in a little bit. I guess this gets fuzzy. There we go. So I got one of my cabinets done with the epoxy. I'm not sure how good the camera is going to show this. Let me see if I can get some light in here. There we go. So every corner on this cabinet is now filled up with epoxy. Yeah, it's not going to show all that good. Anyways, over here, all the way to the back, and also the top parts. And the same with the front baffle. Let me see if I can somehow get the light in there, get the camera in there, and try to show this. There we go. Okay. Okay, so those cabinets will never rattle again, and I'm not going to do any additional bracing, like I said already, because I'm a little bit afraid it would change the sound of those speakers. and I just like the way those KLF 30s sound. So, and again, this is not like your average tabletop type of epoxy or the stuff that you buy at Home Depot or Lowe's. What, you know, don't confuse it with epoxy glue. This is a, again, this is a marine grade. This is the brand West System 105 plus the 206 hardener. This is about as good as it gets. I mean, there is absolutely nothing better on the market right now. Think about really what's good for saltwater environment on boats. It's well good enough for some speaker box that's basically built out of wood and is mostly inside the house. So this one's completely done basically. I'm still gonna do those edges here on the front baffle, which is just made out of this typical fiber board, medium density fiber board, which are probably 90% of all speakers are built by. That stuff, the problem with this stuff is it can't stand moisture. You can't get it wet. Also, and everybody knows that probably, the more often you take the speaker drivers loose, so those little holes here, they're eventually gonna just completely strip out. I had already on couple of those things where the screws just don't hold anymore in. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take a brush and also going to saturate those areas and around here with the epoxy. I'm going to fill this epoxy in those holes. It's going to drip though, and that's the purpose of it, but it's also going to tighten them back up and it's going to make them harder. And the screws, they're gonna just hold on tight in there again. I'm going to do this also for the woofers. Basically everywhere this stuff is exposed. Number one, it's going to seal it up for any moisture, and number two, it's just going to make it really hard because the epoxy is going to soak into it. The speaker cabinets on those KLF 30s, apparently the outer panels all the way around, like where of course it's laminated from the outside, but apparently this is real wood, just like the bracing. So the front baffle and basically rear baffle or rear plate, whatever you want to call it, that's that fiberboard, and that's where the problem lies, because the glue that Klipsch used at the time wasn't holding up. It started coming apart. It's real shitty stuff. I think they used the hot glue. I'm not sure if they knew about it or if they were just and didn't care, or if some bean counter decided, well, you know, cheaper is better. You know how they all are. They're just trying to maximize profit. They come up with a good idea, and then in the end the bean counter is kicking in, and I say, well, we'll spend so much money building those things, so let's see where we can save a couple of bucks here and there. So let's get rid of the glue that we used all those years that worked and get some cheaper shit. And that's what happens. I'm also gonna most likely brush epoxy on this exposed wood, because I live in Florida. We have termite problems. I do have some dry wood termites in my house at times, and that's just what I need. Termites moving into the damn speaker cabinet and eating this thing and using it as a all-you-can-eat buffet. That would really piss me off. Anyhow, so once I seal it up with epoxy, they can bite their teeth out on it because they ain't gonna penetrate it. So this cabinet here is almost done. I'm just gonna have to put one more edge here. See, there's the epoxy all the way around. That's not yet. And then the top. So that's what I'm going to do on this one, and on that one I'm going to get it prepared for brushing epoxy on this exposed fiberboard. There we go. So let's see if I can do this without making a total mess here. trying not to get anything on the front baffle. Here and there I get a little bit of spill. Because once this dries, you can't get it off anymore. So the only solution would be then painting the whole front baffle, which I was trying to avoid. Probably not everybody's cup of tea. It's not that this makes the speaker sound any better, it's just peace of mind. I live in Florida, the humidity gets very high, and I've had speakers in the past where the cabinets came apart due to the fact that, let's say, you know, store them in a non-air conditioned room where the moisture got into them. Next you know, take them back out a few months later, grab the cabinets and everything is rattling, and you can see clearly how the fiberboards are coming apart from the moisture creeping in. Not that I'm ever going to plan storing those things here in a moist environment, but still. So what the epoxy will do is, you know, it's gonna really soak into this fiberboard, and it's gonna make it really, really hard. It's gonna be more sturdy. It won't fray out anymore. Doesn't matter how many times you take the speakers on and off, or the drivers, or whatever you really want to call it. And that's just the whole idea too, that every time you take a driver out, you make it worse, because those tiny little screw holes, they will wallow out more and more, and there's very few things you can do. You could technically either re-drill them in different spots, and eventually this whole damn thing is going to look like a damn Swiss cheese, a bunch of holes in it, or you could use thicker screws, and then the material is gonna get weaker, because there's really, from the hole for the screw to the outside, or the inner edge, outer edge, inner edge, whatever, about a 1/4 inch, that's all there is. So it's not much holding it into it. I wish they would have thread inserts in there, would use real machine screws. But again, that would cost too much money. Can't have that. Well, I guess that's the difference between manufacturer like Klipsch, which I like the sound, they perform great. I mean, I'm just really sold on that. Quality wise, I don't think they're the greatest. So my cabinets are done from the inside. Let's see if the camera shows it. So besides the corners, I actually coated the this light is bad. Coated the inside wooden panels also with resin, just to keep it from rotting or something if it gets moist. So that's for the cabinets. This light is really bad. Also, I put screens on the rear ports. For some strange reason, I don't like insects crawling inside my speaker. So I'll try to set them up a little bit different. Maybe a light is better that way. Yeah, so again, I put screens on my rear ports. Well, when I opened them first, I found a little bit of spider webs in there, and apparently some residue of some bugs. I don't know why your Klipsch doesn't do that factory wise, but probably just saving money. So all those areas are coated with resin. Makes it a little bit stronger right there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Those cabinets will not come apart. So now I'm thinking, and I'm gonna have to make up my mind sometime soon, if I coat the outside also with resin. The wood veneer is fairly worn. I mean, yeah, I could polish it out, but some chips here, not a big deal, but it's just cosmetic. So I wonder, maybe I do it, maybe I don't. Anyhow, so that's as far as the cabinet goes. Now I'm still waiting on my capacitors to come in from Klipsch, and then I'm ready to put it all back together. The capacitor kit from Klipsch just came in, so that's what I'm gonna do today. Gonna rebuild the crossovers. Pretty pricey, 250 bucks for those little things. But anyhow, it has to get done because it does improve the sound. I did it before and it made a difference. What it really does, it felt like it was tightening up the bass. Mostly, that's what I heard. So, besides, recommendations is, from what I can read online, capacitors, they should be replaced about every 10 to 15 years. I guess they dry out or something, do something, who knows. But it is what it is. So that's what I got in the package, and I'm getting to work soon. So here I got one of the crossovers done with the new capacitors that I just got in from it's Michael Klipsch now, because apparently his dad has passed away, Bob Klipsch. And the company is great. The shipping is like they'll ship immediately. You buy stuff, you can pay with PayPal or whatever you want to pay. They usually ship within a day. I mean, it took like, I think, less than 2 days to come all the way from Arkansas to Florida. I'm really happy about it. Anyhow, so besides that, so this is the original one, the OEM capacitors on there, and now the new ones. The new ones are, well, much bigger already, so it gets a little bit crowded. Doesn't look all that pretty because I'm really don't see any other way to put them on. The big one kind of interferes with this big transformer there, so I actually cut one of the leads a little bit too short. I had to extend it back out to get enough clearance, but anyways, it's on there. Those two here on the original one, they sit next to one another because they're small. The ones I just got, they're too big, so I kind of staggered them. Doesn't really matter. I don't think it makes any difference. This green one here is now replaced by this black one. The white ones are Sony capped. They're supposed to be some of the best sounding capacitors for crossovers. Yeah, so the rest I'm not going to do anything else on it. Biggest pain in the ass because Klipsch, they hot glued those capacitors onto the circuit board. I don't know why, but I have to heat them up a little bit of pain in the ass to get them off. But it's okay. Now, Klipsch offers really pretty pre-made crossovers. I guess they mount them on little, very pretty wooden plates. They're spacing it out more. I wish I would have the money, because in that case I would just buy them from them. Not that they perform any different, I don't think so, but it's just a high quality. I think what those people offer would be nice to have, but for now this have to do. And hopefully once I get them back together, I can forget about the crossovers for a very long time. So off to the next one, the second one, and then they're gonna be ready to get back installed into the cabinets. Okay, now both crossovers are done. I used a little bit of silicone to kind of fix them in place, keep them from, I guess, maybe vibrating around, because the original ones were hot glued on there. I don't know, for whatever reason they do that, but I decided I'm just not gonna use hot glue. I hate that shit. So I used some RTV silicone, which is I had available. So I kind of fix the capacitors into place a little bit. Anyhow, so they're going back into the cabinets now. So first speaker's going back together. Crossover in there, and now I put the film material back in there just the way it was. Alrighty, I just switched to my GoPro. Having a little bit of problems with my other camera. So anyhow, I put the stuffing material back in. I put it in exactly the same way how it came out. They put 2 layers of this foam into one of the woofer ports, then completely covering, of course, the mid and high range. I understand that, because it's supposed to baffle the sound a little bit so it doesn't get too boomy. There's no foam by a factory installed in the lower part. I don't know if, you know, it's just the way it is. I'm not going to change anything around right now, because I always thought they sound great the way they are. If anybody has any ideas of doing either the damping material different to improve the sound, maybe take the little bit of, you know, sometimes it can get a little bit boomy, I understand that. But I also found out it has also to do with the placement of the speakers. They're pretty sensitive to how close they're on to the wall, what kind of surface you have. I have a wooden floor in here, which is not really ideal, because my whole place is basically built out of wood. It's just a single white mobile home, a little bit reinforced, but yeah, my whole place basically acts like a big speaker box anyways, but nevertheless they sound good to me. But anything of course helps, and I'm always open to maybe add some different dampening material in there later on, but I just don't want to do it just right now unless somebody really has done it and found some kind of an improvement to it. Yes, so now I'm gonna start putting the drivers in the first cabinet. What I found out when you put the drivers back into the cabinet, I start off with the tweeter. The cable for the tweeter is just barely long enough that it can reach it. It's easier to just mount the tweeter in the cabinet and then attach the cables like they are. Oh, shit. Okay, let's see. Is it gonna show? Maybe, maybe not. Anyways, here they are. So I use also some zip ties to keep those cables in order. Also, it could help if you take the tweeter out on its own and this cable drops down, then there's a good chance you're gonna have to take at least one of the woofers out in order to reach the cable again, which happened to me a couple of times, and it's a pain in the ass. So by zip tying them together here, right there, I put the cables for the tweeter with a zip tie right here on the for the mid-range, so ultimately that cable won't fall down, at least not that far that I couldn't reach it. But that's just me. What everybody else does is their personal thing. Okay, so this is the order how I'm gonna put them in. Tweeter first, the lower woofer, the upper woofer, and then last the mid-range. So I can actually support the woofers from underneath by grabbing through the openings. That's what I'm gonna do now. So here it is, the first one's back together, all in there. I don't care too much for those plastic rings they're putting around those speakers. I think they're purely cosmetic, and it seems like at times they come loose, like on this one here. I don't know if it would create a rattle. I'll leave it alone for now. But I wonder if people take them actually loose and leave them off. May not look as pretty, but at least it could eliminate the problem of possible rattle there. So yeah, all the screws are tight again. Soaking that fiberboard with resin really helped. All the screws are in there very tight now. Before, I mean, I had like a couple that start getting so loose that they wouldn't even tighten up anymore. They would just barely hang in there. Not so much for the woofers, they seem to be a little bit thicker, but the tweeters definitely, they started wallowing out. So that's for this one. I'm just gonna put the second one together, and that's pretty much it. I'm not gonna film the second one because it's just gonna be the same as this one. Okay, here they are, finally all back together, back in place. So now I'm gonna see if sound a little bit different. Oh, I'm sure the rattling is now gone. Okay. Well, no point running any music here because it ain't gonna transfer over on YouTube. So that's it. Alright, leave some comments if you want. Give me some ideas if you have the same speakers, what all you did on them. Thinking about maybe one of those days upgrading the woofers to the CRA HW321, I believe. Keep reading this on those I guess Klipsch fan club sites. Everybody recommends them. Right now you can't buy them, they're on back order unless you order them straight from Italy, which is freakingly expensive. So I'm gonna hold off for a while on this. The drivers on this one are still good up until I blow them. Okay, well, thanks for watching.